Hey everyone, massive official news. Gavin McKenna is headed to Penn State in the NCAA next season. The potential first overall pick in the 2026 NHL draft. I already went through it, but this is also going to be my way too early top 5 NHL mock draft for 2026. So I'm going to go over 5 prospects I'm very familiar with, and I think could very well be top 5 or maybe in the top 10 of next year's draft. I'm very confident on 4 of them, so we're going to move into that conversation. But yeah, this was kind of the clip of Gavin McKenna committing to Penn State right here.
And everyone who's kind of part of my circle, we all decided that the best spot for me next year will be Penn State University. I think...
So there you go. Go check out that clip. Shout out to Gavin McKenna. I think a lot of people are concerned about what this is going to do for the CHL. I talked about it on my last video. I think this is interchangeable. Like there's benefits to both sides. Of course, the top talent of some of the players I'm about to show in terms of like the superstars that could be in the CHL, could be in the OHL or WHL or the Q, putting that attention on that Canadian city. They are moving into college, but the growth of the sport in general, like you see what happens with basketball and football. Getting these stars in the college program for 1 year, to me, is not the make or break on the CHL. Like I think the CHL will have players coming in that maybe would have gone a different route before, whether USHL or other leagues overseas maybe. I'm even seeing it with the Bulldogs. I'm seeing it with other teams. Bringing in guys that are now going to get the opportunity to get a big roster spot. It also creates more opportunity for talent. In prior years, whether it's through college or through the CHL, it would kind of be dispersed. Like it wouldn't be a clear direction. Now some prospects and some younger players with their families are thinking, okay, maybe we'll have one player or we'll have one season in junior, then one season in NCAA, mature a little bit, and then move into the National Hockey League. So that's kind of that jump, right? Like the progress of that development, playing against 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds to going into the next year playing against 20, 21, 22, 23, 24-year-olds. So that development, the progress, and then moving into the National Hockey League, it might actually give that edge of a player jumping into the National Hockey League sooner versus so many years in the AHL. Like how many times have we seen a guy jump from junior into the National Hockey League and they just, it's an eye-opener. They need those years in the AHL. Well, maybe a year in college will eliminate a year or two in the AHL in terms of development. But to get into the conversation of my early mock draft, I'll talk about the teams that maybe could be at the spot, but it's more of just a ranking of the top 5. Looking at number 1, Gavin McKenna. So Gavin McKenna for me is the guy. I know people have talked about Keaton Vierhoff, right shot 6'4" defenseman, but for me, McKenna's the guy. Like you're talking about a potential generational talent. I know that there's some people that have their doubts, but let's not overthink it. Stop with the Connor Bedard conversation. Stop with the Gavin McKenna conversation about maybe one-dimensional in terms of their skill set. He is an elite talent, and everything else will fall into place. I think when you're talking about also guys that are like maybe undersized with a pure skill, that's not a conversation for Gavin McKenna either. So he brings everything in a physical element and also an IQ element, and he is going to be the first overall pick in this upcoming draft. I have no doubt about it. Keaton Vierhoff definitely moves crazy well for his size. I think we've seen a little bit of that in this past draft, but 6'4" right shot defenseman, GMs are going to be going crazy over this. So the top 2 picks are going NCAA if they end up being the top 2 picks. I think Ryan Rubrick is going to be a really interesting player as well because he is so big as well. I think he's 6'4", 6'5". It's actually kind of nuts to think that 3 of the top 4 picks, folks, could be 6'4", 6'5 plus. I don't know when's the last time that happened. I know a lot of big prospects were drafted in this last draft in the top 2 rounds, but it's crazy that 3 of the top 4 picks in this upcoming draft could be that big, 6'4", 6'5". But Vierhoff, it's just a matter of like, what are you looking for in your roster? Because I think Vierhoff and Rubrick could be a toss-up for number 2. I do think it's going to be McKenna and Vierhoff by the end. But Rubrick is, watching him this year in the OHL, for how big he is and how big of a reach he has, he also can do some crazy stuff in tight spaces. I know there's been conversation about his compete level, and like there's been a little bit of conversations about attitude. I'm hearing a little bit of birdies around that, but he's got another year to figure it out. I'm very curious about guys like that in terms of the maturity aspect, because McKenna and Veerhoff are taking the jump into the NCAA and looking for that maturity leap. But we'll see if the next couple guys that I'm talking about in terms of big players are going to be OHL bound to the draft, or what's going to happen here. I know there's obviously decisions to be made, but Ryan Rubrick, kind of just talked about him, but in difference, Ethan Belchitz, he was drafted first overall in the OHL draft, then he jumps into the OHL, and Belchitz looked like an absolute beast. It's kind of funny because Windsor, in their success, was one of the most scary teams to play against, because you've got Belchitz, who's 6'5", 200 pounds, more than that. I think he was listed at 210 or 220. He went into the season as a 16-year-old. And then you talk about other guys on that team like Jack Nesbitt, who's big, Protus, who's big, Greentree, who's big. So the fact that the Spitfires had 3 or 4 guys on that same team that were all 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" is kind of crazy. But Belchitz jumped into that, and he did not look out of place at all. The production, when he's going down the wing, it actually, the fact that he gets to learn from a guy like Protus as well, with a lot more of a higher ceiling in terms of skill as well. Belchitz looked like he was just a workhorse. He looked like a truck going down that wing a lot of times. So I just said in my notes, beast. That's kind of the best way I can put it. And Chase Reed I have at number 5. Maybe a little bit of OHL bias, but he's actually committed to Michigan State. So the fact that we could have 3 players potentially drafted in the top 5 for next year's 2026 NHL entry draft coming out of NCAA is kind of crazy. But because of the rule changes again, I think he was in, I have it here, his stats. He was in the NAHL. And because of the new rules, when you're talking USHL and NAHL, you're talking about guys that can now go to the OHL or the CHL in general, and that's what Chase Reed did. He went to the OHL, he played for the Sioux Greyhounds, and he put up over a point per game. I saw him in some games. I couldn't believe this guy was 16 years old. Just so smart with the puck, so smart off the puck. That's kind of what I've seen from other scouts too, just how impressive his IQ is, high offensive IQ. Right shot is obviously the unicorn as well, so you got to talk about that. But over a point per game in the OHL, he's moving into NCAA, which is going to give him a lot of maturity. And I think the fact that he's going to Michigan State, and we're seeing the commits to Penn State with obviously Gavin McKenna and Jackson Smith as well, NCAA hockey is going to be at, I would say, a high tier this season. So thank you so much to everyone watching. Give me your thoughts on this top 5 ranking for now. It's going to change a lot going into the season, so it's way too early of a top 5 for a mock draft or rankings for the 2026 draft. But of course, the big news is Gavin McKenna is committed to Penn State officially in the NCAA. So thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe, like, comment, notification bell. We'll see you on the next one.